In today's video, I'll be sharing what I think is going to replace Goudurix. Hello coaster lovers. So a popular country that tourists get to visit is France, and one of their flagship parks is Parc Asterix. This park opened back up in 1989 and it's located north of Paris. And during the opening of that park, they opened this little coaster called Goudurix, and this is easily one of the worst coasters in Europe. So let's say this coaster got torn down and bulldozed. So what do you replace it with? And before we start, this isn't me saying that these coasters are actually going to replace Goudurix. It's just like the previous videos I've made of this kind. This is a coaster enthusiast dream video. So let's jump right in with one of my 6 coasters that I would love to see to replace Goudurix. And the first one is with a GSlow Infinity coaster. This would actually make a lot of sense here, because next year they're adding a GSlow spinner called I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that. But anywho, this would be a fantastic predecessor to Goudurix with its multiple inversions. And this can have a vertical lift hill, KCL light package, and a compact layout. And we know Parc Asterix does great theming, so I could definitely see some theming throughout the ride. It can also be like Hang Time or Monster at Adventureland. I could definitely see this happening. Next up on the list is a bit random, but I think a B&M wing coaster would be really good here. The park has worked with B&M before, back in 2012 with Osiris. And back then, we saw how successful it was, but not me. I was a taller back in 2012. But anyway, it would be really cool seeing a wing coaster at Parc Asterix. Wing coasters are highly themable, and like I said earlier, Parc Asterix does theming really well. I'm imagining something like Wild Eagle, or maybe X-Flight. A compact wing coaster would work here as well. I'd also love to see some sort of keyhole maneuver somewhere in the layout like Gatekeeper ski holes. And wing coasters are just beautiful. It would make for some killer photo ops right above the lake, and this would work wonders for Parc Asterix. For the third coaster, we are seeing another coaster in the same model go to another park, and it would also make sense at Parc Asterix. It's the RMC Raptor. The park could use an RMC, but not RMC to near 2 zoos. A Raptor would be amazing at Parc Asterix. The closest you got is Yoy 5 hours away at Walibi Holland, and that's not even open yet, so this is doable. Along with the Hot Racer, this can be an RMC Raptor / Intamin Hot Racer spot. And there aren't really any comparisons to the Raptors from Parc Asterix coasters. Toutatis is the closest you got, and it's not at all close. And speaking of that, if they get a Jersey Devil-esque Raptor, that'll be a really strong candidate with Toutatis as Parc Asterix 1-2 punch. This can feature a custom layout with many airtime pops and inversions. I can see it. The next coaster we got is a model we are kind of seeing popping up, but not a lot. It's the Mack Ride's Big Dipper. Parc Asterix has worked with Mack before with their bobsled, and this would also be a great way to honor Goudurix, but they could also add a striker like Voltron or the upcoming Helios Apetesiana. But this thing needs to have a lot of trains going throughout the layout because Parc Asterix gets crazy busy, and Big Dipper coasters are not the best for capacity. And I would love to see a layout something like Lost Gravity but longer, or maybe something like Voltron will be amazing here. For the next coaster, this is probably the most unlikely. We're getting the first type of this coaster in Saudi Arabia, but I feel like an SNS Axis coaster would be so good at Parc Asterix. One of the main reasons why I think this would be great for this park is because these types of coasters are highly themable. The one in Saudi Arabia is going to be themed to Transformers, and I can see Parc Asterix doing their own twist with their theming, and they're just eye candy. There would be so many people watching this coaster cycle. The layout of these coasters are not conventional at all. Could you imagine a normal train on an Axis coaster? That wouldn't be feasible. But anyway, there are a lot of parks that could benefit from an Axis coaster, and Parc Asterix is one of them. So for our last coaster, it's also a new model. It's with the Surf Coaster. We've only seen one open up since the model has been announced with Pipeline and SeaWorld Orlando, and that coaster was surprisingly good according to the people I've heard from, and this would look amazing over the water. And one part of Pipeline that surprised everyone was its airtime pops, so we should see a lot of airtime moments here, and it can be focused on those instead of the heavy positive G's because Osiris focuses on positive G's, and this would be a great replacement for Goudurix and for the other coasters. So I want to hear from you guys. What do you want to replace Goudurix? And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. And if you like my content, consider subscribing. There will be a new video coming out in the next 5 days. So make sure to keep that adrenaline pumping, and thanks for watching.